Welcome to Driving After 80. We are so happy that you're here today. I'm Nancy Pewter. I'm the founder of Seacoast Seniors. My background is as a realtor for the past 47 years, and about 6 years ago, I decided to do something about all the chaos and confusion that I was constantly experiencing with my older adults and their families. People would call me to list their home, and I would walk in to a situation where mom or dad had taken a fall, or there was a dementia diagnosis. Anyway, it had caused the family to converge over the weekend, and the plan was to figure out what to do with mom or dad for the rest of their life before they went home on Monday. And so they would call me. I was always the last person. Okay, now we need to call a realtor to sell the house. So they would call me, and I would walk in, and the kids were already fighting. Mom was sitting in the chair wishing that she was anywhere else. They had already made a lot of bad decisions because they were in panic mode and they were Googling for solutions. So I experienced this several times a year for 47 years. I'm a slow learner. And about 6 years ago, a little voice said to me, "You need to do something." And of course, I rejected that idea immediately. And the voice wouldn't go away. And so I got certified out of an outfit in Oklahoma City, and I started doing seminars. And so we do these free seminars. We call them workshops now because they don't sound so stuffy. But we do them every 4 to 6 weeks, and we have a great attendance. A lot of you keep coming back, which we really appreciate, and bring friends. And we really depend on you to get the word out. We are operating on a shoestring, and so we can't afford to do a lot of advertising, and so the word of mouth is what keeps coming people back. How many new people are here today who've never been before? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So several new. We thought we saw a lot of new names on the RSVP list. How many of you have been here more than once? Wow. How many have been here twice? How many have been here 3 times? 5 times? 10 times? 15 times? Okay. So how many people were 15 times or more? Okay, 1, 2. Okay. I think Bob's a third, but I only brought 2. You get a box of Cracker Jacks. Alana, go give these out to them, please. Okay, I also want to thank our sponsors. They were on the screen a few minutes ago, and they'll be up there again from time to time. Without the help from our sponsors, it would be impossible for us to keep doing the seminars and not have to charge you. So we have one of our sponsors here today, and her name, you want to come up here real quick, Sue? Have we seen Kelly yet? No? Okay. So Sue is one of our sponsors. She is with, why don't you tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Nancy. Sue Gibson with SLG Senior Care, and I work with families when it's time to move from the home to assisted living, memory care, or a board and care facility. And I work within SLO County mainly. There's 110 facilities. But if you do need help anywhere outside of SLO County, I have relationships with other companies, actually over 350 CSAs. Thank you.
And one of the very cool things about Sue's service is it's absolutely free to you. Absolutely free. So it is a no-risk, great opportunity for you just to check out Senior Community should you want to do that. let's talk about some housekeeping issues. The restrooms are out the door to the right on the other side of the stairs. We have coffee, tea, water, and muffins in the back. When you came in, you got a clipboard, and on the clipboard, on the front page, of course, is the place to take notes. So take lots of notes. Underneath, there's a little bit about Seacoast Seniors and a little guide on getting your ducks in a row. So, did everybody get a duck when they came in? Okay. I have to keep this interesting so I don't get bored. So our ducks are our new theme. So we are helping families get their ducks in a row. We take home your duck, put it in a prominent place so that you remember to maybe take an action step in your aging journey that you may have been procrastinating. Does anybody in here ever procrastinate? Yeah. So that's what the duck is for. And every time you come, you can take another duck if you want, and then you're going to have a collection. People are going to come over to your house and say, what are the ducks about? And then you can tell them about Seacoast Seniors. See? So I thought this through. Okay. Sue, excuse me, is a sponsor, along with our other sponsors who financially support us. We also have other people that are on our resource team. I've spent 6 years cultivating my senior resource team, from attorneys to in-home care, hospice, you name it. We have anything that you could possibly need. We have people that we can refer you to. And I want you to know that our people are the people with the white hats. The chances of you getting someone who's really great by just randomly going on Google are 30% or less? So call me if you don't remember anything else from any of these seminars. Don't lose my number and just call me, and or Google Seacoast Seniors, and you'll be able to find me. And I'll be able to help you and guide you and your family through whatever it is that you're experiencing, okay? Our mission is to educate, empower, and equip older adults and their families so that they make knowledge-driven decisions versus crisis-driven decisions when the crisis happens. And we say when the crisis happens because none of us are getting out of this alive, right? So we definitely want to be prepared. It can just change the whole trajectory of your life. And the last chapter of your life, you still have many, many, many years to go. And let's do it right. Let's live vibrantly, and call me if I can help you with anything you need. So, let's see. Okay, so you have feedback forms underneath your paperwork, and those are loose from the stapled portion. And that's because we'd really like you to fill that out at the end and turn it in to us. Did you all get a learning card or bring one when you came in? Michelle, did you give everybody learning cards?
I did not give everybody.
Okay, so why don't you come on and bring them up, and if someone needs a learning card, raise your hand. And Alana, maybe you can help her. Okay, so the learning cards, if you bring it back with you each time, and don't worry if you forget it, we can give you a new one. But every time you turn in a feedback form for us, we punch a hole, and after you have 10 holes, you get, wait for this, a $10 Panera Bread card. So it's just kind of fun, keeps it interesting. We are going to ask you to write down your questions when the speakers are speaking today, because it's just better that way. We will have a Q&A session at the end. And please turn off your phones. If you don't mind, turn those phones off. Today we're going to hear from a AARP driving instructor who is also a retired psychologist. And he's going to share how to navigate the often emotionally difficult transition to different driving behaviors. We will also discuss how to best manage a visit to the Department of Motor Vehicles. Who likes to go to the DMV? Anybody? Okay. Well, we're going to try to help you with that. And then we have someone here who is going to talk to you about free or low-cost solutions to getting to where you need to go as an alternative to driving should you decide to stop driving. We're going to jump right in, and we are going to ask our first guest speaker to introduce himself. Bill, here's your microphone right there.
Thank you. Is this live? Oh, yes. Good and live. Good morning, and I'd like to thank Nancy for inviting me to come here. As she indicated, I volunteered as an AARP safety driver instructor. I am a retired clinical psychologist.
Hold it up to your mouth.
It
It makes a difference.
Okay, thank you. Whoa, the feedback is really powerful. After I decided to retire from clinical psychology, I was looking for something to do, and a friend of mine said, well, seniors need help with their driving skills. Why don't you consider the possibility of helping seniors? And so I looked into the possibility of doing that, and found that there is indeed a need, because a lot of people don't really appreciate what that needs to be done when you become older and older and you become more and more impaired. And what I realized was that people need some guidance in this. Nancy's very good at guiding people with a variety of things. And so I began to help some people with that, and they said, well, if you really wanted to help people, then you need to get an insurance license so you can guide them for what they're going to be doing. So I did that. And for most people, driving is a very emotional experience. Do you remember way back when you were looking forward to getting your driver's license, especially guys? I know guys better than women, but especially guys just couldn't wait to get their driver's license.
You might have turned it off. It's yeah, it's touchy. It's a push button, so just try not to.
Okay, no, thank you. I'll hold it lower now. Didn't mean to turn myself off, actually. For teenage guys, it's really an emotional experience. It's like, yes, it's independence. You get to go out and you have this compartment with which you can invite a young lady to come inside this enclosed environment, and you get to go where you're going to go, lover's lane that you get to make out. Driving is a really important emotional experience. The flip side of that, I realized, is that when you get older and you begin to experience some impairment in your driving, how do you handle that? For many guys, it's very difficult. It's a tremendously difficult experience. What do? We compensate in some ways. One of the ways I ask seniors, well, how do you compensate for your driving, your reduction, your own awareness of your reduction in driving skills? And they say, I don't drive on the freeway anymore. How many people here don't drive on the freeway anymore? Okay, well.
I think there's probably a few more that are raising their hands, because for some reason it's a self-conscious, embarrassing thing, but it shouldn't be, because this is a safe place, guys. This is where everybody is just like you, so.
Yeah. And the other thing, I talk to some people and they say, well, I say, how do you compensate for your concern about your driving skills? And they say, well, I don't drive on the freeway anymore. I avoid the freeway like the plague if I can, because people are just zooming too fast in these big trucks, and it's really scary. And I say, well, drill that down for me. What is it about driving on the freeway that you're concerned about? And truth be told, they say, well, if you really want to know, it's reaction time. When I was younger, I'm aware that I had very good reaction time, very good response skills. As I get older, I realize it takes me a little bit longer to process the information, and things on city streets, I can compensate. Things are slower. On the freeway, when some idiot cuts me off or something like that, I have to really think fast and decide what I'm going to do to avoid getting in an accident. So one of the ways to compensate for that is avoid driving on the freeways. And that makes a great deal of sense. And I'd say, congratulations, I have a great deal of respect for you for recognizing what your limitations are and for compensating in a very appropriate way. To a certain extent, I feel like when I come here, when Nancy's invited me, I feel like I'm lecturing to the choir, because all you guys are here because you're concerned about driving after the age of 80, and you are sensitive and aware of this. There are a lot of people out there who simply aren't. I've talked to some people and they say, how do I tell my grandfather that he really needs to stop driving? And I say, if you try to impose this on him, he is going to rebel, if he's like most grandfathers. What you need to do is to inculcate a sense of personal responsibility, and I encourage all of you, self-evaluate. What are my limitations? Let's be realistic. Let me ask you this. You want to kill somebody? You want to react so slowly that you fail to compensate adequately when someone jumps out in front of you. Years ago, I remember my brother was an attorney, and I said, Charlie, what I heard I went with him to some of his law classes, and I said, what do you do when a kid jumps out in front of you between parked cars and you hit the kid and you kill the kid? Are you then going to be liable for murder? And he said, no, that's a dart out, and there's an exception for that in the law. But for most people, being able to react rapidly to some emergency circumstance like that diminishes as we get older, and that's simply a fact of life. That's something that, rather than resist it, rather than refuse to acknowledge it, I encourage you all to embrace it and say, okay, because this is happening, then therefore, what should I do differently? I'll avoid driving on the freeway. I'll drive slower than usual. I don't care if the people behind me honk. That's their problem, not my problem. They're in a rush. I'm not. And recognize your limitations. And it's a sad admission of reality, but most of us have to acknowledge that as we get older, there are things which we have more and more limitations. Compensation. In the last year, I've developed a pain in my neck, and it's hard for me to look to the left. I have on my car wide-angle rear-view mirrors that I glued to the rear-view mirrors. I found out just recently that's illegal in California. I didn't know that. You're not allowed to modify a manufacturer's vehicle which has safety features on it. It makes sense now that I understand how the law works, but I did not know that. I've been driving with these wide-angle mirrors for a couple of years now, and I love them. In fact, I'm addicted to them. And when I travel and I rent a car, it's like, wait a minute, I got to be really careful about the blind spot because I'm so used to having my wide-angle rear-view mirrors. One of the questions Nancy asked me was, when you give your AARP safety driver course talk, do people come back to you afterward and talk about how it affected them? And I told her, sadly, the answer is no, with one exception. One woman came up to me after I taught the course, and she said, would you do me a really big favor? I'm really impressed with how you described using the wide-angle rear-view mirrors. Would you do me a big favor, and would you fix them in the right location on my car for me? And I said, sure. And she went out to the car parts store, and she got some wide-angle mirrors, and I came back with my good old Windex and paper towel and cleaned off her rear-view mirrors and peeled off the adhesive, and I stuck them on, and she said, I love these things. Thank you. I don't know how I've driven without them. So even though it's against the law in California, I'll endorse an illegality here and say, if you haven't tried wide-angle rear-view mirrors, it's a great compensation for the blind spot on both sides of the car.
It's a good thing my police officer couldn't make it today. Anthony Hernandez, I was going to invite him to speak.
One of the points I want to make as a psychologist is that rather than having someone impose upon you some restrictions to your driving, I want you to embrace the idea that this is your decision to make and it's your responsibility. You tell someone, no matter what age, you say, you can't do that, I'm not going to let you do that. Their natural tendency is to rebel. I don't want you guys to rebel against anything. What I want you to do, and part of my soapbox today, my important message to you is, please appraise your skills and abilities. Be aware of your weak spots. Understand that that's perfectly normal, and it's unfortunately a sign of aging, and yeah, you have to acknowledge that, and compensate for it. Don't drive on the freeway if that's what does it for you. Don't drive at night if you have a night vision problem, which we all will do sooner or later. Get a wide-angle rear view mirror if that helps you with blind spots. And at some point, you need to assess, and I want you to really embrace this idea, do I want to kill somebody and be stubborn, or do I want to acknowledge that I have some limitations to my driving and simply accept the fact that, okay, there's going to come a point where I'm not really going to be able to drive anymore, and I'm going to voluntarily give up the keys. I'm encouraging you to decide that for yourself so that you're emotionally at peace with it, rather than having it imposed upon you, or even worse, causing bodily damage or killing somebody, and then facing the fact that you really should have stopped driving sooner. That's a crass reality that I'm sorry if it is anxiety producing for some of you, but I want you to really embrace that idea. And especially when you talk to your friends and neighbors, if you see someone who's got lots of dents in their car or who can't drive very well, take them aside and say, look, honey, you really have to come to the realization, if you keep this up, there's a chance you're going to kill somebody. Do you really want that responsibility? Do you really want to have that emotional reaction? You want to have that guilt for the rest of your life, however brief that may be. So I approach this as a retired psychologist. I look at the psychological factors. I think this is a psychological decision, and I'd be delighted to answer any questions you may have. Thank you, Nancy.
And yes, as a reminder, keep your questions till the end. We will have a Q&A session. Bill, I'm going to ask you, how could someone tell the difference between just needing a refresher course and actually being unsafe to drive anymore?
I think I threw this off by mistake. I pushed the button. Oh, the lower one. Oh, okay, we gotta hold it.
Testing.
Okay, tell me your question again, please.
Yes. How can someone tell the difference between just needing a refresher course and actually just need to stop driving?
Okay, that's a matter of degree. You need a refresher course if you feel like your skills are getting weaker, or you want to be reminded more of the importance of the different features and the importance of staying safe in driving. When you get to the point where when you have some close calls, that's the point at which you ought to say, you know what, I've had too many close calls. Now it may be the time to either ask someone to appraise my driving or just hang up the keys.
So what happens during an AARP driver course? What should people expect besides the 5% discount that most of your insurance companies offer?
Yeah, I know State Farm still gives a 5%. There used to be a 10% discount, by the way, years ago, but now it's a 5% discount. I don't know about the other insurance companies, but what you get out of an AARP safe driving course is a lot of visuals, a lot of videos, which illustrate the point very dramatically about how you are restricted physically in getting in and out of the vehicle, how about controlling the vehicle, all the human factors which have to do with the driving, the rear view mirror, the side mirrors, your awareness of acceleration and deceleration, your reaction time between the time you see the person in front of you brake and when you have to start braking. Those are all the points that are strongly emphasized in the AARP Safe Driver course. It's an 8-hour course. I teach it in Los Osos, 4 hours one Saturday and 4 hours the following Saturday. I do not have another one scheduled at the moment.
So Bill, I think we've already covered this, but I'm going to ask you directly, what do you hope that people will take away after the completion of your course?
I would hope that people would stop some people are going to be in denial over, I'm going to drive until I drop, a kind of thing. It's a very stubborn kind of thing. And I find this much more with men than with women. Women much more comfortably acknowledge their limitations. Men are much more stubborn. What I hope you would take away from this is it's okay to accept the fact that you are are having some limitations in your driving skills and abilities. It's okay, it's a perfectly normal expectation of the aging process, and to embrace the idea that you have a significant responsibility not to injure yourself or others, and for you to make the decision. This comes up over and over again. People say, no one's going to tell me what I can't do, and usually associated with a bunch of expletives. But I say, well, but what do you want to do? Do you want to kill somebody? Do you want to have a problem with, do you want to ding up your car? Do you want to incur additional expenses because you're going to have property damage on your vehicle? What are you going to do? How are you going to assume responsibility for your own behavior? And I want you to really embrace that idea. I am the king of my domain, or queen of my domain. I am responsible for my own behavior. I'm the best person to assess my own behavior, and I'm going to make the decision before somebody else makes it for me, because I really don't like it when somebody else makes a decision and imposes it upon me. Make your own decision.
And what does it cost to take a refresher course with AARP? I think it's free, isn't it? Or is it? If it is, if there's a cost, it's very low.
It's less than $25. I think I don't remember because that's such a trivial part of the beginning of the course. I think it's $10 or $15, which really pays for the materials, and you get a really nice book that comes with it. Plus, you get the 8 hours of visuals, which are provided by AARP. Plus, you get a great instructor. I don't get any part of the money, but I get the satisfaction of helping people, which I like to do.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
So, originally, we had Mary Catherine Beaumays, former DMV employee, scheduled to speak today. But Mary Catherine called me yesterday morning, and she is sick as a dog. So we're sending her prayers and thoughts, and hopefully she'll get better soon. She just has a bad case of the flu. So, but she did spend some time with me yesterday on the phone and through email on what she wanted you to know. So I'm going to do my best. Anybody that knows Mary Catherine knows that it's pretty hard to match that woman's energy. But here you go. Here's the good news. If you haven't heard already, you no longer have to take a written test when you renew your driver's license after 70 years old. So can we get a big, yay for that? Yeah, great. And apparently the reason this happened was because there were some lawsuits that were filed about seniors being singled out. So it's nice to hear that someone's hearing us. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. I was just really encouraged to hear that the seniors got together and their representatives and said, we're not taking this. So I was really glad. Now, if you do protest, I want you to do it peacefully. Don't be rude and arrogant. I do not want to see you in the newspaper and have to come down and get you. One thing that you will have to do, though, after 70 is renew in person. The good news is you can go online, dmv.ca.gov. So dmv.ca.gov, and you can fill out your application online. And when you do that and submit it, make sure you take a screenshot or write down the confirmation number, because when you go to the DMV, they'll be able to pull it up. So, couple of things I want to say about that. If you are renewing, you're supposed to be getting a letter within 90 days of your renewal date. If you don't get a letter, go on down there, and please don't wait till the last minute. Being at the DMV can be stressful, and it takes a long time sometimes. You might have employees that aren't very helpful. So give yourself plenty of time. Don't make appointments right after your appointment, because you could be there longer than you expected. So do yourself a favor and just, leave the day free, go down there and do what you have to do. Like I said, don't wait till the last minute to do this. I mean, as soon as you get the letter, don't let it sit on your desk for a few days. Just jump right on it and take care of it. You also might need to take a written test or a driving test if you've been referred to the department that they so fondly call safety. People that the way you get reported to the DMV for safety issues is possibly by a police officer who is observing your driving and we had concerns about your judgment and your mental judgment or your reflexes. Family members who are concerned about a stubborn older person who refuses to acknowledge that they're no longer safe on the road. They will sometimes report to the DMV. Or if you've had too many accidents or violations, that could also trigger a safety referral. And then, of course, your doctor, too. And at that time, the DMV will review your driving record and make a decision. Sometimes the DMV will also, as part of their investigation, require a written test. One of the things we want to tell you, if they do send you a letter saying that they're requiring a written test, you want to be sure and study. And you don't want to study the DMV handbook that's been in your drawer for the last 10 years. You want to get the 2025 version because, as Mary Catherine says, the DMV changes the rules like they change their socks. And so make sure you have 2025. Also, it's available online. I was checking it out this morning. You can get them free at the AAA office, but even, we all trust AAA, right? And they have a good reputation, but even they sometimes have old booklets. So make sure you have the 2025 version. One of the most important things that you want to remember here, if you've been referred to safety and the DMV requires that you take a written test, you only get one try. Yeah, if you'll remember the last time, we talked about when you had to take the written test, once you turned 70, it was 3 tries. But nope, if you've been referred, you get one try, baby. And those tests aren't easy. So you want to study, study, study. It is not an open book exam. You got to know the answers. So you don't want to panic. You just do the best you can, right? Yes. Oh, we're waiting till at the end for Q&A. I'm sorry. So some of the ways to take some of the stress away, or at least minimize it, is you can go in there and ask them for a paper test. Otherwise, they are going to send you to a computer, which they want you to stand at and take the test. The other reason we want you to ask for a paper test is because every time you get the answer wrong, you don't want to see that big red X, that says, you missed that one, because now that's going to freak you out and might mess you up for the rest of the test. So you have a right to ask them for a paper test, and you have the right to ask them, to tell them that you want to take the test sitting down. When you're in a sitting down position, you're going to be more relaxed. Don't let any of these employees intimidate you. I don't know if you all remember when you were young, we all thought old people were just old. And unfortunately, people that they just, I don't know if they're not strong character or what, but as we get older, we sometimes experience that out in the public, where people just you say something, it's important, and they're going, yeah, right. And they're just waiting for you to leave. These employees at the DMV, they are there to serve you. And if they're being obstinate and giving you a hard time, you need to ask them to speak to their supervising manager. And when the supervising manager comes out, make sure that they actually are the manager. They're supposed to be wearing a name badge that's visible. So insist, be polite, don't be rude, but insist that you're given your right. So just know that these employees do not have the power to take away your license. Okay, they might be not very nice people, but they don't have any power. So be brave. Plan your visit to the DMV. Don't go on the way back from the eye doctor's appointment where they dilated your eyes, because they are going to give you a vision test. So if you need new glasses, now is the time to go get them. So don't make your appointment June 20th and go in and take your test on the 15th. Not a good idea. So, and then don't go right after you've had a procedure also. I mean, I know that stuff is no-brainers, but I'm saying it because I do a lot of stupid things, and where my brain knows that I shouldn't have done that, but I do it anyway. So just in case you're one of those people, I wanted to make sure I said that. When you get to the DMV, there will be two lines. There's a line for people with appointments and a line for people that don't have an appointment. If you are in some sort of a frail condition, you have an elderly appearance or are using a walker, you can go to the line for appointments. I thought that was really a good tip. You do not have to go to the no appointment line. And you can actually, if you're having problems, you can actually go right to the front of the line, and they are supposed to take care of you. Okay, so just remember that it takes the time that it takes. And at this point, I really want you to seriously contemplate whether it's time to let your driving privileges go. We have people here in all different stages of their life, but just keep that in mind. It's so much better if you're the one that makes the right decision. And even though it's not a legal offense to run over a kid that darted out between the two cars, who wants to live with that? Who wants to live with hurting somebody on the road? So this is just a gentle reminder that if we allow the fear of losing our independence overshadow our ability to make a good decision, sometimes the results could be not what we were hoping for and worse. So on that lovely high note, I really appreciate all of you coming here today. It just shows that you have courage and that you're willing to be open to new things. And so at this point, I am going to turn this over to Paige. And Paige, would you introduce yourself and let everyone know what you have to offer?
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for having me and for the invitation. My name is Paige Anderson. I work for SLOCOG, which is the San Luis Obispo Council of Governments. Nice big mouthful. And I lead the Know How to Go program, which is a transportation information service for seniors and people with disabilities in SLO County. So basically what that means is if you call me, I'll try to help connect you to a transportation service near you that will work for you. So there's all kinds of different options in the county, and we just try to be a resource to help connect you to those services. Yeah.
Thank you, Paige. And what kind of services do you see most often requested?
Yeah, so there are a few services that I recommend most often. The first one is Senior Go, which you may have heard of, you may have used yourself. It's a county-wide door-to-door shuttle service that's just for people 65 years old and older. And it's a subsidized service, so it's less expensive than some of the other services that are also door-to-door and will go anywhere in the county. So you do need to make a reservation at least 48 hours ahead of time. I always tell people as soon as you know you have an appointment or something that you want to go do, even if it's just going to visit a friend, just go ahead and get that reservation in there and they'll get you in the books.
That's great. And so people, like if they just want to do some grocery shopping or visit a friend.
Yep, yeah, you can use a service like Senior Go for doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, visiting a friend, going to the beach, really anything that you want to do. There's no restrictions on the type of trip that it is. It just has to be within San Luis Obispo County.
Okay. And let's see, can people schedule rides without having to use a smartphone or an app?
Yes, absolutely. Almost all of the services that we are aware of and recommend to people are phone numbers that you can call and you can talk to a real live person and schedule a ride. The only ones I know of that do require a smartphone are services like Uber and Lyft. And even those, there is kind of a workaround. There is a service called GoGo Grandparent, which is sort of a dispatch service for Uber and Lyft. So if you wanted to use those services but didn't want to use a smartphone, you can sign up for GoGo Grandparent, call them, and they will schedule that Uber or Lyft ride for you.
Do you happen to know how they would sign up?
Yes, there is a website. You can also call them and just get your application going. That is a membership service, so there is a monthly membership fee associated with GoGo Grandparent. The other services are not membership, so they're just use as you want to use them.
Okay, and I would imagine it's not very much per month.
As far as I'm aware, the lowest membership per month is $11, and then they also offer all kinds of other services from, grocery drop-off and prescription medicine pickup and all kinds of things. So your membership can get quite expensive depending on how many of those add-ons you want to include.
So that sounds like a really good website to know about, GoGo Grandparent.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and are the services that you provide, are they door-to-door, curb-to-curb, or something in between?
So there's all kinds of different options. The Senior Go service that I mentioned is door-to-door, so they will come to your door, to your driveway, pick you up, and take you to the door of wherever you need to go. Again, if that's a doctor's appointment, friend's house, grocery store, whatever. They will not wait for you, so you do need to schedule a second ride for your return trip. But that's an example of a door-to-door service. There's also dial-a-ride services in many of the cities. Those are a little bit different because they stay just within the city that they're, so for example, the Atascadero dial-a-ride stays just within the city limits of Atascadero. And then there are services that are door-through-door, which are what we call non-emergency medical transportation. Those are more expensive services, but there is a lot more assistance with those, and they are also qualified to check you out of a hospital. So if you had a doctor's appointment, procedure, something like that, you need a ride to get home from that procedure, those people are actually qualified to check you out, help you into the vehicle, and then help you out and into your home.
And Paige also brought some brochures in the back, so be sure to grab them. If someone's confused and doesn't have the energy to check all these programs out, can they call you directly and discuss their situation?
Yes, you can absolutely call me. The easiest way to get a hold of me is to call 511. That is a phone number that will work for the whole county. It's the same for several other counties, so if you're in LA and you call 511, you'll get LA County's 511, but if you're here and you call 511, it will eventually ring to my desk phone. You will get an automated message with some different options that you can, so if you can press 1 for real-time road conditions, 2 for, I think, ride-share information, there's a whole bunch of stuff. If you press 0, it rings to my phone, so 511, press 0, and you'll get me if I'm not out doing something like this.
And do your drivers receive special training to work with older adults?
Yes, most of the services do give their drivers special training. There are some exceptions. For example, Senior Go sometimes doesn't have enough vehicles for the number of ride requests that they have. So in those cases, they do send an Uber or a Lyft vehicle. So those drivers are not specially trained to my knowledge, but if you do want a specially trained driver, you can absolutely make that request. If you do have a mobility aid or a wheelchair, also be sure to make that request also, and then they won't send you just a regular Lyft car, they'll send you a car that is accessible.
And final question, have you seen anyone's life noticeably improve after starting to use alternative transportation?
Yes, absolutely. As I'm sure many of you know, isolation and loneliness is a big problem for lots of people, not just seniors. And so I think it's really important to use these services for not just medical appointments, not just going to the grocery store, but go do fun things too. See your friends, go to the movies, go to the beach. So I think that can definitely help improve people's lives and just keep getting out there and maintain that independence.
Thank you, Paige.
Of course, thank you.
We're going to open it up for questions and answers. And so what I'm going to do is you're going to tell me what your question is. I'm going to repeat it so everyone can hear it. And then whoever you want to answer will answer the question. Okay, sound good? So Lene.
Actually, regarding the DMV, the paper test, the reason you want to get the paper test is because you could go back and change your answers. When you're on that computer, you can't go back.
That's a good point. Lene is saying that another reason the paper test is good is in case you review and you're like, oh my gosh, why did I say that? And you can fix it, but once you've answered on the computer, there's no going back. Next question, right here.
If I'm hearing correctly, the restriction is that the transportation must be within the county, period?
Yes.
So he's asking if the transportation needs to be within San Luis Obispo County.
Yes, the services that I am aware of are just for San Luis Obispo County. There are some charter services that will go into Santa Barbara, for example, or up to Monterey, but again, they're more expensive and kind of a case-by-case basis for the
I was
cost.
looking for Santa Maria.
Yeah, if you live in,
VA sends me to Santa Maria for a lot of my outpatient stuff.
So there is a VA-specific shuttle that can pick you up in the county and take you to the clinic in Santa Maria, and you just need your VA card to use that service.
Because I can't use that because it's care in the community. So you can't do a VA when you're on care in the community.
okay, so,
There's restrictions.
yeah, so this gentleman lives in Santa Maria and is
No,
wondering,
I live here in Arroyo Grande.
oh, but you're,
But they assigned me to, like I'm
You-
assigned to go to Santa Maria, Meridian Hospital,
mm-hmm.
Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays for the next month.
Okay, so he lives here, but he has to go down to Santa Maria several times a month, and he's looking for transportation. So maybe we could research that and get back to you. Make sure you put that on your feedback form.
I'm capable of driving, that's not a problem. I just had that question because it came up when I was gonna have a procedure and I had to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. My wife
Ouch.
told me, go to hell.
Ah.
So I had to find a way to get there. So when I drove, and I ignored the medical recommendation not to drive home.
Okay, okay, all right. Next question, right here.
Well, since we're talking about Santa Maria, I do have a question as well. Is there any kind of a service that can pick you up and take you down there to shop or medical appointments? Because many times we have to go to Santa Maria now if we live in this area.
Okay, so this is pretty much the same question. Are there any services that will pick you up here and bring you down to Santa Maria for shopping? This is something that Paige and I might need to brainstorm and come up with. So make sure you put that down on your feedback form, that question, and we will get back to you at some point, okay?
I will say the RTA bus will go into Santa Maria, so if you are willing to take transit, that is an option that will take you all the way into Santa Maria. And the bus fare is half price if you're over 65, so depending on the route, that's between 75 cents and $1.60. And if you're 80 years or older, any bus is free in the county. So you could, if you were willing to take transit, you could get there for free.
Right here.
Two questions really. On the free bus pass for over 80, you have to get a card, you have
Okay. Yeah. So the question is,
Barbara County expert up here.
yeah, we're going to become Santa Barbara experts, aren't we? Santa Barbara County. No, that's a valid question. These are questions we weren't really expecting, and I'm so glad that you've all spoken up. So again, coming from here, going down to Santa Maria, not just with one appointment, but various appointments that one might need. So put that down on your feedback form, and we will get back to you.
Would the GoGo grandparent Uber Lyft thingy do that?
They will go up to 100 miles, and then you need special permission to go beyond 100 miles, but GoGo Grandparent will go beyond. There is also kind of a Senior Go equivalent in Santa Barbara County, which is called Smooth. I don't remember what the acronym stands for, but there is a service in Santa Barbara County that is very similar.
Okay, next question. Larry.
Last time I took a vision test,
That's interesting. Boy, I can't wait to ask Mary Catherine that question when she's feeling a little better. Larry was saying that the last time he went to the DMV, he took a vision test, and instead of testing on the chart directly in front of him, he had to read the chart that was in the next aisle. Bob, did that happen to you too? Bob had the same thing happen to him. Wow. Okay, that is something that I would certainly make a stink about it. And, you're just going to have to go with whatever they say. But I would probably ask for a supervising, because, a lot of these young people have hang-ups about older people. I don't know if you've ever noticed. And it could be some jerk that is just expressing his rage and doesn't want people driving after 50, So you want to make sure that you talk to a supervisor. That just doesn't sound right to me. That just sounds weird, but who knows? Yes, right here, next. 1 second. I keep overlooking this beautiful lady sitting here.
Thank
I'll be right back to you.
Well, I'm sure people probably already know this, but I want to bring it up. For me, reading the book to study for the test has always been overwhelming, no matter what my age. I yellow things and go back to study it, but they have tests online, practice tests. But I remember the last time I took the test, I had studied the book and I had studied the practice test. And I got one question that wasn't on any of the tests or in the book. So not to freak out if you get a question like that.
Exactly. So what she's saying is, she studied like heck, and she took all the practice tests that are online on the DMV website, and yet when she took the test, there was a random question there she had never seen before. This is typical. But one thing that Mary Catherine pointed out to me when she was here a year ago is that she's never, in all of her years at working at the DMV, she's never seen anybody get 100%. They usually get 2 wrong. So cut yourself a little slack. If there's one question that's throwing you for a loop, don't freak out, okay? Next question, right here. So if you live in the country and you have a gate where someone has to get out of the car and manually move the gate to drive up the country road to the house, will Slow Go have people that will do that?
That's a great question. I believe the drivers would be willing to do that. You might have to give them instruction when you make your reservation. Just make sure they know how to get in and that they're not breaking into somebody's home, but I don't see why not. I know there are some services that are unwilling to go down dirt driveways. I'm not exactly sure why. But yeah, just give them all of your information when you make your reservation, and then they can help kind of direct the drivers.
Okay, another question back there.
Yeah, I want to have Robinson Freedom respect and dignity of DMV, never have a fault ever. But I do have a question for Jill about the safe driving course. You don't have one planned, it's now at the end of the year. How do I find out when it's going to be on?
How do we find out when your next driver course is?
Go to aarp.org, and there'll be a link to safe driving courses, and you put in your zip code, and they'll tell you where the next safe driving course is in the radius of that zip code.
Did that answer your question? Okay, good. Lene?
Okay, this is my last one. The new headlights that are blinding.
Oh, do you teach about the glare of the headlights,
Those new ones.
Bill? No.
That's not in the curriculum, no. And I'm required to stick exactly to the AARP curriculum. It's a very lockstep. The instructions to the instructors are follow this regimen exactly and precisely. Do not deviate. Do not add your personal advice. Although I deviate that with my rearview mirror example.
Okay, so
Your workaround on your rearview mirror thing, is there a workaround for those LED lights? That's not part of the curriculum.
Not that I know of.
no. So there's always going to be stuff that's going to irritate us, guys. The world is changing. And we spend a lot of time getting our panties in a knot over some new rule or the way things are going out there. And trust me, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Choose your battles and accommodate. You need to accommodate the road. The road doesn't need to accommodate you. So I've got time for one more question. Wow. All right. I got one more questions. Okay, one, quick.
About the driving course, you mentioned that someone could appraise your driving. Are you talking about you personally actually appraising a person's driving by driving with them?
So she's asking, Bill had mentioned earlier that have someone appraise your driving. I think he's talking about a friend or a family member. Yeah, or a neighbor. Maybe the neighbor who sees you bump into the side of the house a couple of times a week. Okay, Larry.
Just for Paige, you mentioned if you're over 80, you can get a free pass to ride local buses.
Yes.
How do you get that?
How do you get the free pass
Yes.
to ride after you're 80 for free?
Yeah, there's a couple of different options. So it's just a short application which includes your name, your address, your birthday, and a signature. And then you can either mail your application in with a picture of yourself, or you can come to our office, the SLOCOG office, which is in downtown SLO. You can also go to the RTA office, which is also in SLO. I also go to the different senior centers throughout the county and do pop-up events to sign people up. So if you have a local senior center, we can coordinate on what dates.
How do you get the application? Can you have it mailed to you?
You can have it mailed to you. It's also online. You can download and print it. I also brought some today, so if anyone is interested in signing up today, I can help you fill out that application, take your picture, and then mail you your pass.
That's perfect. Okay, question? Okay, Janice.
If someone is required to take the written test and they fail, when's the next time they could do it, or is that the end of the driving?
If you're referred to safety and they give you a written test and you're one shot, you fail it, you do have the right, and what they'll do is they'll revoke your license, but you do have the right to appeal. Okay. Gosh, well, let's give a big hand for our speakers today. They did an awesome job. Okay, I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to, if you don't mind, I'd like to remind you that my day job is as a realtor. And so if you are considering selling your home, I would really appreciate it if you'd consider calling me, because I do all of the rest of the stuff for free. And that would be a wonderful way to say thank you. Please bring a friend next time. We are growing. We'd like to get this room to 100. That's my goal before the end of the year. And, whoops, crazy microphones. And so the next thing we have on the agenda is the raffle gifts. Did everybody get a raffle ticket? Okay. So, Alana, would you go grab the raffle can? Oh, you got here late and the other half didn't go in? You have to hold on to one, so you know if you won. Yeah, because she put the F in the can. Yeah. Okay, great. Would you like to draw the winning slips? Okay, help me open that, honey. This is my granddaughter, Alana. Isn't she gorgeous? Yeah, she's been a huge help today. Our first gift is from Sue Gibson with SLG Senior Care, one of our sponsors, who you met earlier. And this one is going to
1751213.
Do we have a winner? Yeah, Bob. Woo! Okay. Let's give this to Bob. There you go. Congratulations. Okay. The next prize is a box of peppermint patties from C's Candy. And the lucky winner is
1751220.
1220. 1751220. I bet it was Dave. He said he had to leave early. Okay, next one.
231. Last numbers are 231.
231.
1751231.
1751231.
Woohoo! There's another winner. There you go. Congratulations. And this next raffle gift, I've got to give kudos to my husband, Larry. I told him, we don't have any raffle gifts. I need you to go get me some raffle gifts. And he went and he found this flashlight. You know, you can't buy a regular flashlight anymore. Talk about things that irritate you. So he ended up getting this very fancy flashlight. And it's batteries included. There's 8 AA batteries in here, so it probably makes a good weapon too. And I don't know if you all know that my husband used to own Coco's Restaurant in Pismo Beach. Yeah, so that's my Larry. And he's such a huge support, and I know a lot of you probably know him. And so if you want to say hi, you can put that on your feedback form too. So this is the one that Larry Pewter picked out. And the winner is?
1751227.
Woohoo, there we go. Would you bring this back to her, please? Thank you. Okay, so now please fill out your feedback forms. And in a few minutes, Michelle and Alana are going to come around and collect those from you and punch your learning cards. I want to thank all of you for coming today. We appreciate you. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if I can help you in any way at all. Thank you.